Hey, everybody, welcome to Shut Up and Listen. We have got to get people, I've got to, they need to be quiet. Tiffany, my amazing co host, how you doing today, Tiff?
I'm good. I've had kind of a hit and miss morning health wise. I am happy to be here. I'm doing good. Got my tea, got my brie. We're good.
Oh, wow. That's like I know, we're doing it. I
How
love
about
it.
you?
I
How are
love
you
it.
this morning?
I am good. I'm a little stressed. No, I'm not. We're going to talk
Could
about
that be the
stress.
theme of today?
I know. We're going to be talking about stress today and how we are misdiagnosed with anxiety or stress or whatever they want to call it,
Mhm.
they being the medical professionals in our lives, and how it really frustrates us. And I know that you have had a really good story about be like having someone say it's just anxiety.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little of that?
Which one? Which
Well,
story?
I know, there's a lot.
Seriously, when I go back and I look at my medical notes, it's almost every doctor puts that in their medical notes that my hypertension and my physical issues, it's essential hypertension elevated by anxiety or elevated by stress. And my latest one, it was a female doctor, nephrologist, who's like, we've done everything for you we can. At this point, it's just your weight. It's your weight. We talked about weight last week. She's like, you need to lose weight. I'm like, fine. I said, fine. I will. I finally caved in and like, good. I'll do medical weight loss. I can't do the GLP ones, but I'll do medical weight loss. I said, I am so excited to lose this weight to prove to you that this is not my weight causing this. Okay. And I was upset. I was visibly upset, like tears in my eyes. And I was just kind of going at her because I just felt so dismissed. And so, like, these doctors can't see beyond a few extra pounds, right? And it's very frustrating. And as if you have a few extra pounds and somehow you're not worthy of looking into deeper, which just, oh, anyway, it felt upset. Looking at the notes after, she said, the patient is very emotionally distressed about her weight. I suggest behavioral therapy to help her with her anxiety.
Wow.
I was like, I'm not distressed about my weight. Would I like to lose a few pounds? Sure. Does it make me cry every day when I look at the mirror? No. Right? Like, I'm not distressed about my weight. I'm distressed that you dismiss my concerns because of my weight.
And how are they not hearing that?
I don't know. And the behavioral, and we talked last week about the whole weight thing, where like I am on weight loss medication. I am meticulously tracking my calories. There are many days where my tracker says you haven't hit your 1,200 calorie goal. You're not getting enough because I'm getting under 1,000, right? Because I'm just not hungry. I'm not losing weight. I'm not losing weight. I've lost inches, but I'm not losing any weight. And so I'm like, at this point, I don't know. They treat it like it's a moral failure, both anxiety and your weight.
I have to agree with that. I mean, they just assume so many things, or, and this is something that I definitely want to get into later in this episode is how they just don't, when we've talked about this too, how they just don't care to dig deeper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all Survivor. I love the show Survivor on CBS. I watch it like a super fan. And Jeff Probst is the host, and he always says, dig deep, right? And so I keep hearing that in so many of the things that I do. Dig deep. Like I'm expecting my doctor to dig deep into what is ailing me. I went to the doctor not for you to tell me what my friends or my daughter or someone in my life is saying. You're so stressed out, you're got so much anxiety. Like it's My friends can tell when I'm stressed. I know that I get stressed. Stress is part of life. I get stressed about things that I'm putting myself into by choice because I'm working really hard to get a project done. And yes, it's very stressful, but I'm there by choice and I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
The stress that I'm getting is because I'm not getting diagnosed. No one is taking the
Yeah.
time to dig in, and they're just throwing this anxiety. You should one, they put me on one of these anxiety medications, and they're like, "Well, you were given that anxiety medication a long time ago." And I said, "Yes, when I couldn't breathe, and they took a gallon of water off of my lungs because it was restricting me from breathing," which is, I think, something that would cause a lot of anxiety when you can't get enough air in. And when you start feeling that, you start to freak out a little bit. Yes, that is definitely anxiety, and I need medication for it. But on the daily, for what I go through and what I need every single day, the anxiety comes from two factors for me. One, that I can't do what I normally do. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the ability to get up and spend a couple hours cleaning my house. I can go spend 5 minutes cleaning my house and then I have to sit back down. And then I can get up again. And it is because of the water weight that is on me that no one seems to think, they just think I'm fat. And it's water weight. And so because you won't diagnose that, and I'm struggling with it and I'm not getting any solutions for it, yes, I do have a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, and the doctor is the cause of it.
Yeah. What blows me away about your case, Bri, is you have a very, very serious diagnosis
Mhm.
with your heart, and you've had heart surgery, and it's obvious that there are documented, very specific, findable issues with you. And the fact that your doctors aren't going, okay, this woman has had heart surgery and now she's holding on to water weight. Something in her body is not working correctly, not pumping correctly, not filtering correctly, like whatever. Let's help her. And XYZ treatment helped her in the past. Let's go, because this is hard on your body.
It is.
This extra weight really stresses all of your systems. And that really blows me away, because I'm like, I kind of get it in my sense, because there's not anything super visible. There's not anything they can really put their finger on and go, it's that. I kind of have a lot of like little things. But you, I mean, that's scannable. That's detectable. That's like obvious. It's there in front of their face. It just kind of blows me away.
It blows me away that they're not willing to try treatments, and that I've actually had a treatment. I went into the hospital. I spent 12 days in the hospital. I was put on IV diuretics, which worked extremely effectively. I lost 80 pounds of water weight in 12 days.
That's
So
insane.
and when I left, the nurses, because you stay for 12 days, you get a rotation of nurses. The nurses that saw me in the beginning and then didn't see me until I was leaving were like, "We don't even recognize you as the same person. And you knew me when I was at my normal weight of
Mm-hmm.
150 pounds. And I don't recognize myself when I look in the mirror and the things that I can't do." And so I have proven results of
Yeah.
this working, but they won't try it again. They they don't they won't recognize the fact that IV diuretics work for me, and the diuretics that they give me don't. They're not as effective, and they're not working.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that they won't allow that to happen, and yes, it causes me tremendous amounts of stress. And there is some stress, of course, to my body just from carrying all this water weight.
Mm-hmm.
But the my biggest frustration, and the part that does have me breaking down in the mirror, crying and sobbing my heart out, is the fact that they won't fix it, or they
Yeah.
won't even
That it is
try.
fixable. Like
That it's
it's
fixable.
proven you've had it fixable. But Bri, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Why are you being such a whiny woman?
I know.
Whiny woman.
I know I'm so
Such a
whiny.
whiny woman.
And I think that I think I need to be a louder whiny woman. I need to be a more powerful and stronger whiny woman. You know, the fact that that's even a thing, that that is like almost like a diagnosis that they don't tell you, that they give
Mary,
you.
Mary, was it Mary Claire Haver, the
Hmm.
very famous menopause doctor, said that in medical school they actually have this diagnosis WWD, whiny woman diagnosis.
It's
What?
insane.
What?
And women diagnose you as that. Female
Right.
doctors use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's absolutely mind blowing to me. It's so incredibly frustrating. And in my opinion, it's just them saying, I'm not willing to do my job and find a solution. And you're a doctor, you are a mystery solver. That is your job. You went
Hmm.
to school to look at symptoms and test results to then make a diagnosis. And when you label something as whiny woman diagnosis, then you are saying you don't know.
We're supposed to be silent and basically die in silence,
Hmm.
right? Even in childbirth, like women get made fun of if they're too loud in childbirth. Like, you push a watermelon out of your hoo ha and tell me you're not going to be noisy, okay? Um, we have to suffer in silence, and that kind of male stoicism, right? Of, I mean, men die at greater rates because they don't go to get taken care of.
Because that'd be
And
whining.
when, right, and when they see a doctor, they're in some sort of critical shape. They've had a heart attack. They've done this, and whereas we're going to the doctor going, I know something is wrong. I don't want to get to the point where my kidneys are failing or I have a heart attack or this is happening or that is happening. I feel it now and I would like more preventative care. Somehow that's irritating, more irritating than somebody coming in that's had a catastrophic heart attack. Like, I don't, it just doesn't compute with me at all. How
Uh,
is it me whining, saying, I'd like to avoid heart surgery. Thank you very much. Or I'd like to avoid being on dialysis for my kidneys. Thank you very much. I'd like to avoid a stroke. And I know my blood pressure, the way it is right now, I will stroke out and my kidneys will fail. And my heart is already showing signs of wear and stress. So I would really like to get this taken care of, please, because I don't want those things to happen. You would think a doctor would be like, oh, great. Somebody that is proactive and that wants to solve her problems, right? Somebody who is willing to stay in the hospital for 12 days. That's no easy feat. You're not going to need 12 days of wonderful sleep.
I did a lot of
Or
online shopping.
I'm sure you did.
I
Sure you
did.
did. Hospitals are not zen places of rest and relaxation. They're
It's
coming
true.
in all the time. Lights are always on. People are noisy.
They're
It's
taking
always
blood at
cold.
4 a.m.,
They're
3 a.m. They're
taking
doing,
blood.
yeah, all that
So the
stuff.
fact that you were there for 12 days to feel better, like, that's a sacrifice you made for your health to feel better.
Hmm.
You would much rather be in your own bed,
Absolutely.
eating your own food, with your family. So for some reason, they're not seeing that, and so they define it as, oh, you're whiny, like you're wanting all of this extra care, you're wanting all of this. We're
Yeah,
complex beings with
we
complex
are.
systems, hormones, and all our female working systems, and it's just,
We create human life inside of
yes,
ourselves.
yes,
So
we
we
do.
are more complicated. It is true. And we do preventative because we also know that it is part of who we are. So when we raise our children and we do things, we're not waiting till the last catastrophic minute for our children. We're always saying, get to bed early, eat breakfast, do the things that take care of your body so that
Hmm.
you don't end up in a bad space. We've been training our littles to do that, and trying to take care of ourselves, and we never, and then when we do put ourselves first, which we don't very often, it somehow is held against us, and where we're saying,
Mhm.
and we say it so we're blue in the face. I literally just got a message, a letter from my cardiologist saying, hey, you need to come back in and have some more checks done. We need to see you again. And I am now, from just doing this podcast with you, and I lost my, I don't know why my camera decided to go out, but it did. There we go. I am going to be doing, I'm going to be very forceful and speaking to him in a different way, because
Mm.
I'm not going to be, I just got really little.
You look fine to me.
I got really small on the screen. Thinking about the oath that doctors take to care for people and knowing that the way we're disregarded is super frustrating. Yes,
Yeah, Amy.
Amy, we agree with you.
Yeah.
We agree with you on that 100%.
And I want to again reiterate, we're not doctor haters, right? These people work very hard, and it's 10, 12 years of schooling depending on what their specialty is, and a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of times they are kneecapped by the insurance industry, and that they're only allowed to spend 15 minutes and they're not allowed to do XYZ testing or treatments because insurance won't pay for it. And I'm sure it's very frustrating to the doctors. Like it's even to the point where doctors can't have their own practice because it is just so expensive to practice. They have to work for somebody else. And it used to be doctors were pretty much entrepreneurs, like they could have their own practice, and they just can't do that anymore. And so there's
Mm-hmm.
somebody else in charge of their life and telling them how they can be doctors. So I am sure a lot of this comes from their frustration and they're not being able to be doctors the way they want to be. And there are a lot of doctors that are just leaving the insurance system altogether so that they can care for the patients the way they want to. The problem is that means that wealthy people get better care because normal people can't afford to pay $500 for every doctor's appointment and $1,000 for that lab test and $5,000 for that scan. We can't afford it. So we're at the mercy of the insurance company. Our doctors are at the mercy of the insurance company. And unfortunately, the irritation comes down, like rolls down. And by the time we're sitting in their office, they don't have the capacity to treat us the way they wish they could. Like their dreams of when they went to medical school of what they were going to do, I'm sure was not seeing 60 patients a day and only having 10 minutes with each patient.
I'm
And
sure it
most of their
wasn't.
days spent fighting with insurance companies. I'm sure that's not what they saw.
And that's how they signed up for, what they wanted to change in the world. And I think we've romanticized a lot of how doctors care so much and spend all this time on people because of all the Grey's Anatomies and all of the TV shows. I know I love Grey's Anatomy and I want to
I
have
love.
those doctors. I don't know if
Me
they
too.
actually exist. But I think there are things that we can do, and the doctors can do. I think there are things that, because when they're, if they're curious, if they're willing to listen and have that, it, and I think it comes from, I I want to see them in a place where they feel comfortable enough to say either I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
or let's work on some things, and what can we do, because I know as patients, you and I are very willing. You have been documenting, I've documented all of my blood pressures, all of the things that are happening to me. We can be documenting, we've talked about journaling before, all of the things. We can do our own reconnaissance mission of our own health and say, this is what I'm eating, this is when I'm sleeping, this is how I'm pooping and peeing, this is how, I mean, we're going to go there, but these are the things that I'm doing, the exercise I'm getting, and this is what I can and can't do. And but having the doctor willing to look at that, to then at least give them more insight into what it is, but we don't feel like that's an option, that they're just like, nope, sorry.
Okay, so I went to a nephrologist. It was a new nephrologist, a male, and I brought my 30-day hypertension, like blood pressure monitor. My blood pressure monitor connects to my phone and then creates a report, and then I can print the report out. So I had my 30 day and I brought it, and it was like, 7 pages long. It's 30 days of, and this was at the point where my blood pressure was really like I was having to take emergency meds every day. And I was really tracking my blood pressure throughout the day. I wanted to find patterns. I wanted to understand what's affecting my blood pressure. So I give him this. I'm like, okay, here's my 30-day. These are my blood pressures. And I had highlighted, here's the ones that concern me. And look, these, I'm waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And my blood pressure is 200 over 110. Like, why is that happening at night? And like, I'm asking questions. I'm like, here's the patterns that I've found that I would love help understanding. And nephrologists often are the ones that will handle hypertension. They tend to be more hypertension specialists than any other specialist out there. And he looked at me and he's like, why are you taking your blood pressure so much? You're stressing yourself out. I want you to go 7 days without taking your blood pressure. And I'm like, dude, do you not see that some of these blood pressures are like crisis level? And if I don't know that it's crisis level and I don't take my emergency meds, I could die. Like, this is why I'm taking them. Like, he's like, I just want you to not take your blood pressure for 7 days because you're stressing yourself out. I'm like, I believe me, it doesn't stress me out to take my blood pressure. Like, it's not. I'm old hand at it, okay? I'm old hand. Like, this isn't stressful. The way you're talking to me is, the way you're dismissing the evidence that I'm bringing to you, and the, to me, very valuable questions. Like, I'm not telling him how to do his job. I'm just saying, I've noticed these patterns. Are these significant? Is this important? These are scary to me. Is it scary to you? Right? Yeah.
And they're not willing to listen or respond or be a part of that or take that into account for anything. And then that's not the right doctor.
Right.
But it's also, how do you find the right doctor and what do you do about it? I mean, because it's more than just remember we used to look through the phone book. So but you can't. Now it's like, are they in my insurance area, and what is the costs, and are they taking new patients, and can I get in with them, and how many different people do I have to go with? How do we work with what we have? And where do we draw the line on this stuff? Where do we say, this isn't a diagnosis, you're not listening to me, I need to go a step further with this, and I need you to do it.
Yeah.
And how do we do that effectively? How do we say and get our point across to people, to these doctors? I think they at some point came from the right place.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of stuff in the background, a lot of things going on. How do we step up to the microphone and make sure that we get we may not always get the right answers that we're looking for, but that we, at least that first step is getting our voices heard and having it recognized by a doctor.
I mean, the therapeutic relief that comes from a doctor saying, okay, I hear you. I am just as concerned as you are. I don't have all the answers right now. Let's look at this together. Let's go on this journey. Let's experiment. Let's test this out. Let's research, because I don't have the answers. I'm not exactly sure what specialist you should go to, but we're going to figure it out together. Like that alone, the stress and anxiety that would relieve of just
Exactly.
somebody not saying, well, you're crazy and it's just stress and anxiety, right? Like, it makes you feel crazy when doctors say that. So for one, I think it's being willing to do the due diligence and find a doctor that is willing to have that attitude. And I think it's, you go into that first appointment with them and say, hey, here's my experience I've had so far, and this is what I need from my doctor. Is that you?
Yeah.
And if it's not, thank you. Here's your $85 copay, and I will go somewhere else. Do you know somebody that would be willing to be a partner with me in this? Maybe they do. Maybe they're like, oh yeah, that bleeding heart, Jane Schmo over there, she's
Always behind schedule because she takes too much time with her patients. Oh,
Yeah,
I want to see her. Thank you very much.
right, right. But I think it's, being straightforward and saying, look, I feel very gaslit by the system. I feel very dismissed by the system. And I need a partner in my health. I need somebody that is going to take this seriously because I want to live a long, healthy life. And I want to live to the best of my ability and be the best version of myself. And I am willing to do the work, and I just need a partner in it. So to me, that's kind of step one, is having that conversation with your doctors. And I mean, it's going to tell you a lot, right? Like many of us have gone on lots of first dates and not had second in like the romance world. And I think it's okay to do that with your doctors of like, okay, we're having a first date right now. Like, here's what I need. Can you give it to me? No? All right, on to the next. Unfortunately, that is a time intensive and potentially very expensive because seeing specialists is very expensive. But it is, I think, worth it for our health is to do that. Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a ton of luck with it yet. Full disclosure, but that's the part of the journey I'm on now is like I just don't have time for doctors that don't care.
Yeah. And I think that's the next move for me. And you know, it's a hard thing to do, so I'm definitely going to bring back up and make sure that that person knows full well what I am needing from that appointment. And if I can't find the words or the strength, or I have too much stress about it, I have somebody that
Yeah.
is in there to fight with for this. And if they're not willing to do that, I definitely want it put on my record that they're not willing
Yeah.
to help me, that you've refused care. And I
Yeah.
want that listed. And I'm not going to just say that you've refused to diagnose me, but that you've refused to care for me,
Yeah.
because I definitely need things. And my cardiologist has seen me through all of this for years now. And so if he can't see the progression, even after open heart surgery and all the other things, I want to be upfront. I want to put myself first.
Yeah.
And that is something that we as women especially always put ourselves last. I I've had to come through a lot to start putting myself first, and it took a big
Hmm.
scare, and I don't want others to feel like they should put themselves last. Speak up for yourself.
Yeah.
Take charge of your health. Nobody else is going to do it as well as you are. You're going to know when things feel off. Trust that, and and speak out about it.
Hmm.
Talk to people. We did. I don't know what's happened lately, but they used to talk about, oh, we should do a breast self exam. But so many women were then finding lumps that now they're like not pushing that anymore. Because how dare we advocate for ourselves? And all of
And
a
you
sudden that's
might find
fallen.
things that are just cysts and they're not lumps, and we don't want to stress you out about that.
Exactly. Now we're just
Okay, it's a
clogging the
cyst.
system.
Fine. I did it. You did a biopsy, and it's nothing to be worried about. Okay, great.
Great.
For every biopsy, I don't know what the exact statistics are, but frankly, if 10 women are biopsied and two of us have cancer, let's help the two that have cancer, right?
Absolutely.
Like
And that we
to me,
caught
that's
early
not,
and that they're going to get through, and it's going to be a
hmm.
lot easier
Yeah,
of a treatment plan for them too,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
before it
I agree.
becomes stage 4 of something that we can't diagnose, we can't help at that point. Um,
I want to, oh, sorry, you were about to say something.
well, I was just going to say, I want to empower women with their voice that they have and to speak up for
Yeah,
themselves. So we don't want to tell women to shut up. We're telling the professionals, listen to me. Shut up for a minute and listen to me.
yeah,
And we want to help you find your voice in doing that.
yeah, yeah. There are some wonderful tools out there to help with that. And I've really gone on a kind of a search and a journey for these tools. At this point, AI can really be our friend.
Mhm.
And I definitely think embracing it. It is not infallible. AI can make mistakes, so just know that. AI doesn't know everything, but it's a really good starting point. you can, track your symptoms. There are AIs out there that are specifically trained for medical issues and they pull their information from like PubMed and other medical journals. They're trained for that. And so you can ask questions and get really thoughtful answers back. And you can say, can you share the research with me? And that research, it'll cite it. Here's where it is. And I think it's really important, especially in a time of great misinformation and a time when doctors are really overwhelmed, us taking control and power of our own health at a certain level, I think is really, really good, because then we go to a doctor, and if they are not willing to explore these things that you have questions about, they're not willing to answer your questions, you can say, but I know the answers are out there. I've been exploring, I've been researching, and I found XYZ, and I have questions about this. And if doctors are not willing, if they're like, you use AI, you use Chat GPT, Dr. Google, if they have that attitude, then frankly, they're not a doctor up with the times, because doctors up with the times use those tools as well. Doctors can't keep all that information in their head. I see them typing in the symptoms, and then something comes up of like, what could this be, right? So if they're giving us a hard time about that, then that to me is a red flag. But it is a way to empower yourself. I have one that I've just really loved. It's in beta mode, and I just put my information in, I ask it questions, and it's just been really validating, calming, insightful, and has helped me a lot. And so to me, that's one of the biggest things, like AI is giving us as, women, as patients, the power to learn and ask and take a little bit of control and go to a doctor's appointment a little bit more educated, so that we just don't blindly follow when they say, your labs are normal, you're all fine. Labs, these AI will say, okay, so doctors are saying it's normal, but when we put all of these together, we're seeing a pattern. And this is a concerning pattern, because this is a little high, this is a little low, on the high end of normal, low end of normal, blah, 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 blah. And when you see these things together, it can cause issues. And so AI is just able to pick out those patterns. So anyway, I know I'm on my soapbox, but this
No, I
is,
think
to
it's so
me,
important. Yeah, use
Yeah.
the data. I upload all my lab results into AI. I go through, here's the newest lab result. Here's what this is. And they're like, oh, I do see improvement with this, and this is getting better. And this is, still a bit concerning. And your normal is different than you have your own normal. So even though it's just like, maybe it's on the bubble and they're like, oh, don't worry about it. For you, it's a worry, because it's significantly higher for you than what your normal is. And so we have to take all of that into consideration. And I don't know how doctors, like, I really question things. So I had an experience, and I wanted to share this before we get into some tips and some more tips that we can give you. But I was in the hospital, not personally, but I was visiting hospital, and I was going through, and I had just had some testing done on myself, but I was visiting a family member in the hospital, and we had a general, a general physician. They're called generalists at a hospital. They tend to like oversee, if you've got multiple doctors seeing you, there's usually one that oversees all of them at a hospital. You don't see that. You might see that at Mayo, which you do, but not at normal, like, physicians' offices and stuff. No one coordinates your care the way they should, unless you're in the hospital. And then you get a generalist, and the generalist was there, and he was a super nice guy. And we were talking, and I was like, I was the care coordinator for the family member, so I was always talking to him. And he heard me discussing my personal health issue, and he asked me a question about it. And he said, "Do you mind if I look at your results?" And I said, not at all. Here's my phone. Here's access to, because everything's on my chart. You can get all these stuff. So I handed him and he started reading through everything. And he said, I would look at your right valve on the right side of your heart. I would have that tested and I would look to see. And he gave me this list of things. And then when I brought it to my doctor, he just dismissed it. But here was a guy that had nothing to do with my case, that's a generalist. So he's used to looking at all of this stuff. And he was just like, oh, I would definitely look at this. And then I brought that to my cardiologist and he just dismissed it because it was not from him and he hadn't thought of it. It was an ego thing. It was a heaven forbid we should be looking at the best interest of our patients, or like whoever suggested it.
I think you need a new cardiologist, Bri.
I definitely need a new cardiologist. We're going to have a little meetup coming up shortly and I might be showing the door and I'm okay with that. I am perfectly fine. I like to be that person sometimes when I'm demanding my own care because I cannot live the way I'm living like this much longer. It is
not quality of life.
It is, there's no quality of life, though I'm doing career wise incredible things, and like things are like I've got this massive like things taking off in my business and all the podcasts I'm doing, and I love what I do, and yet I can't enjoy life, run and play with my kids. Well, they're all grown, but grandkids, and do the things and take my dogs for a walk. It is a challenge. It is difficult. And I am so tired. I am too young to be in this position to live like this. And I need to get good and mad enough to demand better care. And I empowers me. This podcast empowers me. It shows me, I'm not alone. Lots of people, especially women, are struggling with all of these things. Maybe not my health conditions, but similar health conditions where we're not heard and that we're thrown this, you're just whiny. It's just anxiety and stress. I am stressed from you. I am stressed from your diagnosis or lack thereof. And I am, you want this stress gone? Then start doing your job. And I'm angry. So I'm going to be the angry woman, I think, the next time. I don't know if that's the solution. I will check back in and let you know. I'm going to make an appointment, but you know how fast you get into a cardiologist. We could be in 2026 by then, but maybe I'll get in sooner. Who knows? Well, we've talked about using data and bringing that in. I just talked about, and you talked about advocating for ourselves and seeking better providers. But one of the things that we love to do here is to build this community with all of you. We want to hear your stories. So if you're finding this on LinkedIn or if you're finding this over on YouTube, let us know your story. Let us talk. We want to hear from you and support you on your journey. It's something that I think the larger the group that we surround ourselves with, the stronger we are in advocating for ourselves.
Absolutely. To me, community is vital. Knowing there's other people that are just as frustrated as you and feel the same way, and just knowing you're not alone is really, really powerful. And I also think it's really important to surround yourself with people who can hear you, hear your frustrations, and not necessarily wallow in the mud, but also not be toxic positivity, right? So being with people, like to me, this conversation, like we're able to talk about what frustrates us. We're able to, this really makes me mad, but then we're also able to say, okay, so here's what I'm going to do different next time. Here, I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try this. So to me, that's what you need in your community is people to hear you, validate your feelings, and say, okay, how do we strengthen our position? How do we empower ourselves? How do we, have our voices heard? How do we advocate for ourselves? And so if you're in a community like that, then you're so much stronger. If it's just complain, then there's no way to get stronger. And if it's just toxic positivity, eat your carrots and drink your green juice and you're going to be great, because disease is just the lack of ease in your body. So just think positive and everything will be good. Like that drives me crazy too. So there's somewhere in the middle of, wallowing and toxic positivity, there is a place where you can say, all right, yes, this is frustrating. And yes, there are things we can do to change this and be together in that and try to see, you know, the positive of any little change that happens, right? And being able to celebrate that of like, this
Absolutely.
doctor said, I don't know, let's figure it out. Oh my God. Like
Right,
where we
because
can
that
celebrate
gives
that
the
kind of
rest
stuff.
of us that gives the rest of us hope when we're trying. And then
Yeah.
when we do walk in and we don't have anyone to bring with us, we can feel that all of you standing with us,
Yep.
behind us, and pushing us into advocating for ourselves better and taking care of ourselves better by getting the right diagnosis. That's
Yep.
all we're looking for. And I know that I don't post a lot about my medical things, and a lot of that comes from, and I don't mean to offend anybody. I know everyone has tried a lot of things and some things work for you. And I know there's a lot of different magic formulas and things out there, and there are things that I've used that have made me feel better. They haven't solved my problem, and I have a very serious problem, so I can't just take this lotion potion, the blah 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 thing. And I appreciate it, but we're not looking for that either. We're not advocating that people, oh, well, come in and give us all of your magic dust to make us better. What we are really, the whole point of this for us is to advocate for better health for yourself,
Yep.
take better care of yourself, but understand that what you're thinking and the way you're feeling is important. You
Yep.
are important. Your health matters, and that we are there with you to advocate for that health with whatever path you choose with your
Yep.
doctor or finding a new doctor or whatever that is, that you deserve that.
Yes.
That is the thing. And I'm going to close this up, and then I'm going to toss it back to you, Tiphany, to wrap us completely. But it took me a very long time in my life to put myself first.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think, as a mother, I always ate last. I did everything last. Everything was my family first in front of I would sleep last. I wouldn't matter what time I had to go to bed or what time I had to get up. I was always putting myself
Yep.
last. And then I had this horrible heart issue. And my doctor said, you have to take better care of yourself. And so I had to change my entire lifestyle to
Mm-hmm.
do so. And I was shopping one day at the store, and I remember many times always putting all of my food, the things that the treats for myself or the healthy food for myself, always at the end of the checkout line, because I would watch that register to make sure I had enough money to pay for everything. And I didn't want my kids to go without. So if we had to go without, it was me that would go without. And about 6 months after my diagnosis, I was shopping, and I put my stuff, and I loved Cheerios. I still love Cheerios. I don't eat them as much anymore, but they were heart healthy. They were my choice for a quick and easy breakfast that had low sodium. And I would always buy it last. And there was a day when I reached in the cart, and the very first thing I put up on the belt to check out at the grocery store was my Cheerios. And I knew at that moment, silently to myself, without saying a word to anyone around me, that I had decided that I was going to start choosing myself first when it came to my health. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to
Mm-hmm.
choose your health, speak up for your health, and let us be the cheering behind you and helping
Mm-hmm.
you advocate for yourself and choosing you first. So
Yep.
that was a big moment for me. It was a quiet moment. Inside, I was sobbing and like, yay, and cheering myself on, but nobody knew. But choose the Cheerios is
Choose
my
the
lesson.
Cheerios. I love that. I love that. I'm going to wrap it up, build on that of what you're feeling in your body is real. And so trust yourself. Don't let anybody gaslight you. I do a series, I do skits on medical gaslighting. Medical gaslighting, it's really fun. Medical gaslighting is not fun, but it's fun to do the skits because it really brings to light what gaslighting looks like. And I think this idea of gaslighting is new to a lot of people. Gaslighting is basically your concerns are dismissed. It can happen in relationships of, I didn't really say that. You're taking it out of context. I didn't mean it like that. I was just joking. That's nothing to be upset over. You're being upset. You don't remember it correctly. That's all gaslighting in relationships, and it's very toxic. And in medicine, gaslighting is, it's just stress. You're overweight. You're imagining it. Everything's normal. I don't know what you're worried about. You're a whiny woman. You're seeking care when you don't. You're taking somebody's space that really has a real problem, right? And that's gaslighting because the doctor is not taking you seriously. And if there is any message I can get out to women out there and people, non-binary people and trans people and anybody who the medical system dismisses your concerns about you, your body, the way you walk through the world, the way you want to walk through the world or roll through the world, or whatever your method is. If somebody is not taking that seriously and is not hearing you, they are gaslighting you, and that is toxic, and it is not your problem. That is their problem, and they're in the wrong. They should listen to you and not minimize your concerns about your body.
Well said. Well said. Well, we're going to be here next week. We thank you all for listening and hanging out with us. Your voice needs to be heard. Take care of yourself. Listen to your body. Speak up. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Tiphany.